In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my Vanguard portfolio update. Thanks for visiting my channel, Free Your Finance. My name's Gary and I talk about investing, property and the journey towards financial independence. If this sounds like something you may be interested in watching a little more about, please hit the subscribe button below. So usually I share my Vanguard portfolio updates quarterly, but the videos that I've made so far are quickly becoming the most popular ones on my channel. So I had to pay attention to you guys of what you like seeing, so I've decided to now start sharing my portfolio update every single month. The second big change to today's video is that I'm now going to include the holdings of my SIPP. SIPP stands for Self-Invested Personal Pension, and I hold mine within Vanguard along with my ISA. So the last month there's been two main things that have happened that have obviously had an effect on the stock market. The first one being the US election, and then the second one was the fantastic news all about the latest vaccines, and hopefully they're on their way very soon. Of course, this massively affected the stock market and we really saw prices increase quite dramatically. Some of the markets actually hit all-time highs around the 15th, 16th of November. So it has been a very interesting month. I am very much a believer of long-term buy and hold investing, and it has proven my strategy right at the moment. I have to admit, with everything going on in the world right now, I would not be expecting the stock market to be doing so well, and I don't doubt it may well still have a drop to come, but at the moment it's proven me wrong and making me pleased that I am invested in the market. So before we move over onto my laptop screen to see how the investments have performed, it's important for me to say that I'm not a financial advisor and this is by no means financial advice. This is simply me sharing my portfolio and how it has performed for me. So let's go and head over to the laptop. So again, another change I've made for today's video is I've now created a table, as I think it's gonna firstly make me a little bit faster creating this video, and secondly I'm hoping it'll be easier for you guys to view and compare to the previous month. I've now added the weights that I hold in each fund, and as you can see I've also added the two funds that I have within my SIPP now. The weights, I must say, are just sort of rough averages. I did a quick calculation but they're probably not absolutely spot on, but let's go through each of the funds I hold, and first of all we're going to speak about last month's performance. So this was the period from September to October. So the first fund I hold is the Emerging Markets Stock Index Fund. So this fund does exactly what it says in the title. It invests in emerging countries that I believe have a real potential of growth over the next 10-15 years, and I hold around 4% of my ISA balance within this Emerging Markets Fund. So this fund is, I'm pleased to say, 4.23% up. It's doing well and it's something that I'm going to definitely hold for quite a while. I only have a small amount, as you can see it's just 4% of my total ISA within this fund, and I'll be leaving it like that and hopefully it will continue growing. The next fund I have is the Ftse All World High Dividend Fund. This ticker symbol for this one is VHYL. I hold almost 10% of my overall ISA balance within this fund. The reason I picked this one, this was the first fund I ever invested in, and I love the fact it paid a good dividend yield. Probably looking back now, I probably would say that one of the sort of growth world funds would be more suitable for me, but it did attract me that it paid a dividend every quarter and it was a very good one at that. But anyway, this fund has performed, let's have a look. It is at minus 1.26%. So this fund has not been doing that well for me recently. Reason being, it hasn't recovered since the drops back in March. A lot of the companies within the fund have struggled to reach their previous highs, but I'm hoping that one day it will return to that level. But it's definitely not a big growth fund, it's much more a dividend payer. Okay, so the next fund I hold is the S&P 500 ETF. The ticker symbol for this one is VUSA. Any of you that have watched my channel before, you will know that originally this was one of my main funds that I invested a lot of money into until the next fund we're going to speak about, VWRL, took over. I do love the S&P 500 fund, but I did start thinking that I had quite a bit of money within this one fund that was solely in the US. I know that the companies within it are worldwide global players, so I probably didn't need to worry, but I just felt more comfortable within the world fund we're going to speak about next. However, let's see how the fund has done. The fund is minus 0.21% down. So it's not doing awfully considering with everything going on right now, but it is certainly a little bit down. I hold around 32% of my ISA balance in the USA. So on to the next fund that I just spoke about, VWRL. This is the Ftse All World ETF, ticker symbol VWRL. I hold around 55% or so of my ISA balance in VWRL, and that had performed minus 0.26% down. So not amazingly, but again, with everything going on, it's not awful either. I've had to move over slightly as the winter sun is really low in the sky at the moment, and I'm sure you are seeing that the frame was getting a bit bright. So anyway, on to my SIPP now. So with the SIPP, I hold two funds currently. I hold the ESG Developed World All Cap Equity Index Fund, which is an accumulation fund. What this means is it doesn't pay a dividend or income. Any dividend that it receives is reinvested back into the fund. Around 40% of my SIPP is made up in this fund. For any of you that don't know what ESG stands for, it's environmental, social and governance. I believe I've got that correctly. Basically, it's for anyone looking to have more sustainable funds in their portfolio. There is obviously a big argument of what makes a fund sustainable, what makes a company sustainable. So although Vanguard may deem these companies sustainable, maybe in your eyes they're not. This fund, by the end of October, was down 3.54%. So not doing that greatly overall, but it's a sort of similar story with all the funds basically at the moment. And then the next fund I hold is the Life Strategy 100. So this is a really popular fund of funds. It's made up of multiple funds within that one fund. The Life Strategy is also an accumulating fund, so any dividends paid is automatically reinvested into the fund. And at the end of October, I was also down 0.76%. The Life Strategy fund makes up around 60% of my SIPP. So on to my overall rate of return for that September to October period, and you will see that I was 0.18% up. Now, before any of you say that the calculations don't work out, it was because I'd received dividends that month, so I had income. So although the funds were down, I had received dividends which I've now reinvested. So that is why the rate of return is up, even though a lot of the funds have performed badly. So let's now move on to this latest month's update. So first of all, the weights have obviously changed slightly. Firstly, because for any of you that know my channel, I invest monthly. So obviously my latest monthly payment has gone in, which has changed the weight slightly. And also, like I said, I've reinvested some of the dividends too. So let's go through and see how we're doing this month. So first of all, it was the Emerging Markets Index Fund. So my weight in that since last month has slightly gone down. That's because the amount has actually stayed the same, but obviously my overall portfolio has increased. And that fund was up 5.72%. So another great month for emerging markets. Next up was the All World High Dividend Yield, VHYL. Again, the weight I hold within my ISA has slightly decreased due to the same reason. The amount hasn't changed, but obviously my overall ISA balance has increased. That fund was up 6.74%, so a good month for that fund as it has been struggling quite a bit recently. So I was really pleased to see a nice positive amount in that fund this month. Next up, we have the S&P 500 ETF, VUSA. So this month I put my latest payment into VUSA. So you'll notice that my weight has jumped up by 5%. So it's gone from 32 to 37%. And this fund was up 3.17% overall. So again, a great month, and I'm very pleased to be all in the green so far. So on to the final fund of my ISA. Let's see if we can make it 4 out of 4. VWRL. The weight has slightly decreased. The amount is still the same, but again the portfolio balance has changed and the fund is now 4.89% up. So good news on the ISA, every single fund is up. So now on to my SIPP. Let's quickly show you the weights now of that. So the weights have changed again. So my monthly payment in my SIPP went into the ESG Developed World All Cap Equity Index Fund, which has now made that the larger holding within my SIPP. It's now up to 55% of my SIPP balance is in that one fund, and that performed, it's 3.80% up, so good news. We're all green so far. Let's see if we can make it a really good update. My Life Strategy 100 is now 45% of my fund, and it was up 5.58%. So overall we've got all green, which makes very happy Gary. Let's see what my overall rate of return was for this period. It was 4.40% overall, so very good month. I was very pleased to be growing at over 4% in a month. That's fantastic news for me. As I said earlier in this video, I know these sort of good times and the growth could come to an end soon, and there may be some drops in the market with everything going on right now. That will not change my investing outlook or me putting money in every single month like I do already. In my eyes, I'll be buying at value. If the markets do drop, I'll be getting money off, so happy days. The final thing I wanted to share with you was my overall rate of return since inception with Vanguard, which was in September 2019, so a year and 2 months ago. And the overall rate of inception has been 23.97%, which I think is truly remarkable. I'm really pleased with that, and for any of you that have watched some of the last updates, you'll know there was a little bit of luck involved with that. I did put in quite a large amount into my ISA at pretty much the lowest day back in March, which has obviously greatly helped that big return, although I am seeing a lot of people with similar returns, maybe ever so slightly less. So the markets have performed particularly well over the last few months and returned us some nice amounts. So next month I will be sharing my next update. Make sure you hit subscribe to see if the funds have gone up or if maybe we're having some drops in the market. I'll be interested to know myself how the markets do over the next few months. Hopefully they keep going up and we all keep making money. That will be the ideal thing to happen, but we shall see. Apart from that, that's the end of the video, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care, guys.